prominent there before they even started building Richland. And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reason
East
why I say
Pasco.
that is because a lot of those people worked for the railroad, and there was a railroad was a big thing in Pasco, in the early days. It moved from, I'll have to name off the I can't remember the name of the pre-Pasco village.
Ainsworth.
Yes, Ainsworth, and it so that was pretty much the people that worked in or lived in Pasco were different kind of workers than in Richland, and quite frankly, at that time, in those times, there was a lot of segregation. People lived there, and where they lived in Pasco because of the segregation
Right.
and stuff.
Did you see the effect of civil rights legislation in the Tri-Cities? Did that have a big impact on the ways that people...
I didn't personally see that because, again, it was our population of blacks in Richland were not that many, but I know there were people in Richland. I just call them asshole. Excuse me. Bigoted people that I'd hear them talk about Pasco or stuff, and then, but even at the people, there was the few colored people that went to Hanford or to Columbia High. I personally never experienced feeling one way or another about them. No, I certainly didn't feel like I was prejudiced against them, and so my dad had a guy that he knew that he used to go fishing with too. It was like outdoor sports, and particularly hunting and fishing. But so it's hard to say. I would say no in terms of living in Richland.
Okay.
And I don't know. In the early days of Hanford, there was a fair amount of segregation on the Hanford project because they had different dormitories and housing for on-site housing for construction workers there. So I think it was pretty well segregated there. But I only know that as more of history.
Right.
Than having personally experienced it.
Okay.
Thing. So when you're at that age, you're not. You're just a kid running around the neighborhood.
Right.
Playing kick can at night. Now that was the interesting thing. Now. When I was a kid, we rode our bikes every place. We were never a fear of anything. The other thing, the Richland swimming pool had shifts. You go in there and swim for an hour, and then you get out, have to wait in the park someplace, and then you get back in the next hour after that. So it was not a very big pool, but there were a lot of people lived here at that time, and so it was fairly restrictive of that. And then so my dad had an old fishing boat, and so in high school we. And boats weren't then or like they are now. So I think it had a 15 horsepower motor on a little aluminum boat, and guys at BB&M that owned BB&M then they had also a dock down there on the Columbia River right there, right in front of the park down there at that time, and so we used to go down there and hang on that and water ski off that platform down off their boathouse down there in our little old 15-foot boat with a 15 horsepower motor. And skis were wide, they were longer, so you didn't really need a whole lot of surface area. So
wow, that's really neat. Well, John, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was a really excellent conversation.
Well, glad hope you can edit all my wows out of there and stuff.
No, you gave us so much.
Okay.
You've lived a really fascinating, fascinating
Well,
life.
I don't have trouble talking too long or too much. So, all righty. Well,